KaraokeBooks.
Hadji Mourad, Leo Tolstoy. Translated by Louise Maude, Aylmer Maude. Audiobook. Chapter 17. The soul which had been destroyed was that in which Hadji Mourad had spent the night before he went over to the Russians. Sado and his family had left the owl on the approach of the Russian detachment, and when he returned he found his saklia in ruins, the roof fallen in, the door and the posts supporting the penthouse burned, and the interior filthy. His son, the handsome bright-eyed boy who had gazed with such ecstasy at Hadji Mourad, was brought dead to the mosque on a horse covered with a barka. He had been stabbed in the back with a bayonet. The dignified woman who had served Hadji Mourad when he was at the house now stood over her son's body, her smock torn in front, her withered old breasts exposed, her hair down, and she dug her nails into her face till it bled, and wailed incessantly. Sado, taking a pick-axe and spade, had gone with his relatives to dig a grave for his son. The old grandfather sat by the wall of the ruined saklia cutting a stick and gazing stolidly in front of him. He had only just returned from the apiary. The 2 stacks of hay there had been burnt, the apricot and cherry trees he had planted and reared were broken and scorched, and worse still all the beehives and bees had been burnt. The wailing of the women and the little children, who cried with their mothers, mingled with the lowing of the hungry cattle for whom there was no food. The bigger children, instead of playing, followed their elders with frightened eyes. The fountain was polluted, evidently on purpose, so that the water could not be used. The mosque was polluted in the same way, and the mullah and his assistants were cleaning it out. No one spoke of hatred of the Russians. The feeling experienced by all the Chechens, from the youngest to the oldest, was stronger than hate. It was not hatred, for they did not regard those Russian dogs as human beings, but it was such repulsion, disgust, and perplexity at the senseless cruelty of these creatures, that the desire to exterminate them, like the desire to exterminate rats, poisonous spiders, or wolves, was as natural an instinct as that of self-preservation. The inhabitants of the owl were confronted by the choice of remaining there and restoring with frightful effort what had been produced with such labor and had been so lightly and senselessly destroyed, facing every moment the possibility of a repetition of what had happened, or to submit to the Russians, contrary to their religion and despite the repulsion and contempt they felt for them. The old men prayed, and unanimously decided to send envoys to Shamil asking him for help. Then they immediately set to work to restore what had been destroyed.
KaraokeBooks.